Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market here with a different video topic. Haven't done one of these before, but we're going to keep up with this particular topic because I think it's very relevant for the future of the sealed booster box prices for Pioneer. So we are seeing a lot of movement again in Pioneer. There will be a ban in a week that is going to shake the format up. My personal feelings are that the cards that are going to be banned in Pioneer are going to be Dig Through Time and Underworld Breach. That targets cards that are, or targets decks that are problematic right now. We have some of these solitaire decks that are really starting to take over the meta, especially the Invert of Truth combo. And I think when they look at banning cards, they don't really want to completely take out that deck. I think a lot of people are having fun with both the Lotus as well as the Inverter of Truth in the format, and I think that keeping those decks intact is good for the Pioneer format. It adds to the deck diversity count. Otherwise, we go back to maybe just like mono black versus blue-white control. So having combo decks in the format, I think, is a good idea. They just can't be so consistent and so busted like they are now, and something needs to give. In my opinion, the two cards in Pioneer that are going to be banned are going to be Underworld Breach and Dig Through Time. Like LSV stated in one of his videos in the bandwagon, we can either keep increasing the body count of cards that have to be banned because of Dig Through Time, and now we can actually put Underworld Breach on that list, because if you ban, say, the Lotus, I'm sure someone else is going to figure out another way for Underworld Breach just to be completely bonkers. And the same thing goes with Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time is just going to continue to get better and better and better as more cards are printed into the format. So I think that both of those will go, and it will actually will lead to more buying sprees and other cards that are seeing play currently in the Pioneer format. But that's a topic for another day now that we've rambled on with that topic. This particular topic is just going to look at the box EV versus the current distributor price, as well as the current eBay price, and try to get to the bottom of what boxes might be able to go up in value, which ones are overinflated at the moment, and which ones, of course, are, in my opinion, great buys or are underpriced. So this video is a little bit more geared toward my patrons, because I am going to be talking about distributor price, which is how much you can buy it from me. What I offer over at my Patreon is if you sign up for a monthly subscription, you can buy a certain amount of products from me per month. At the $10 mark, you can get 2 products per month. At $20, it goes up to 6. Then $25 goes up to 12, and it goes $6 up per $5 you contribute from then on out. So I think that some of these booster boxes are underpriced and might be a good way to spend your allotment if you are a patron. So let's just jump right into the spreadsheet that I've created for the booster box prices versus distributor, or the box EV versus distributor price and eBay. So let's just go down the list. Let's start with Core 2014. So Core 2014 is currently going for about $175 on eBay. The distributor price also reflects that. They're charging about $180 for the Core 2014. And the box EV, if we come check over at Donglair, all these I've got from the Donglair here. The box EV of the Core 2014 is around $88, $89, $90 a booster box going at the Tishi market price. This is trending very, very quickly up. You can see that we have about a $6 increase from the start of February to the end of February, which is, almost about 10%, about 8% increase for the box price. And so we can perceive that this is going to continue to follow this trajectory. What's also good about Magic 2014 is it's the oldest set in Pioneer, and it's a core set. So not all of these are going to be created equal when you compare box EV to the pricing. So Core 2014, I do think is going to continue to go up in both the eBay and distributor price. I would say by the end of summer, I would say these would be about $200 a pop. However, the spread is quite low. That's why I've color coded these. If you are looking at the spread of how much box value you're going to get from the Core 2014, it doesn't crack that 50% mark. So the 50% mark, I think, are no buys here, as the box EV is definitely lagging behind the distributor price and the eBay price. Next up, we have Return to Ravnica. Now, Return to Ravnica is a little bit misleading because the supply of Return to Ravnica is very, very high. I think that there are only a few sets that have more supply out there than Return to Ravnica, and that'd be something like Khans of Tarkir or Battle for Zendikar. And it's funny, actually, when we look at Khans of Tarkir and Battle for Zendikar, their box EV is absolutely dismal based upon just the supply was just really, really heavy. So there's a lot of cards out there from those particular sets. However, there have been a few personalities out there, we won't name names, or other people that are supposed finance gurus that have told people to invest in these particular booster boxes, and they shot up quick and have kind of been stagnant there at their price. But anyway, we'll talk about them when we get to them. So let's look at Return to Ravnica. This was kind of a stinker. This price of the booster box took forever to go up from its original just what you could get it from distributors, and even clear back in the day, you could get these from about 77 to 80 bucks a booster box. This is way before I started local game stores, even before the store before me in my area started a local game store. So Return to Ravnica is quite old, and the eBay price is actually starting to go up to about 120. You can see the distributor price is actually below the eBay price at 110, and the box EV surprisingly is 102. So it's about a 93% spread comparatively to distributor price. So I'm thinking the Return to Ravnica is going to start going up. The main reason is Shocklands from this particular set have started to go up quite substantial. And if we look at Return to Ravnica, it has had a nice gain through the month of February, going about $5, which is 5%, which is decently significant. And I think that following the trajectory from Return to Ravnica, if we go over here and look at price lists from Pioneer, let's go over and look at RTR. You can see that there are quite a bit of cards in the green on this weekly that have gone up. Cards even like Cyclonic Rift that hasn't had a reprint for a while in the Commander format and actually is starting to see play in Pioneer, and cards like Overgrown Tomb, even Uncommon Sphere of Safety, and the Temple Gardens, these type of things are starting to increase in value. The Return to Ravnica does have some pretty good uncommons that actually do have value as well, which adds to the box EV, like a $2.71 Sphere of Safety or Vandal Blast. Let's just go price here. Even Izzet Charm that's now $1.59, mainly due to the Phoenix deck. This should come down to earth because Izzet Charm's not seeing as much play as it once was. Some of those Underworld Breach decks are running Izzet Charm, so that's going for it. And even cards like Shrieking Affliction that definitely have the chance, Azorius Charm too, to go up in value, just how much play they are seeing or could see in the future in the Pioneer format. So I'm really, really bullish on the Return to Ravnica. I think it's one of the best buys right now at that 93% spread at that $110 booster box price. If we take a look at Gatecrash, Gatecrash is another one that's been lagging behind. You can actually find deals on the internet. I found these for still around $90 a booster box from various websites out there like Dave and Adams and what's the other one, like Game Nerds. I've seen these occasionally for less than what I can even get them at distributor price, but the spread is quite nice from the Gatecrash. Gatecrash is a set that has been doing okay. It's been increasing, $4 over the course of the February, and it's mainly due again to Shocklands. Not a lot of other cards that you get out of Return to Ravnica, like Abrupt Decays and the uncommon slots, aren't as good. But Gatecrash does have some good cards, like even Experiment 1 that does see a lot of play in these Gruul or Mono Green Stompy based decks in Pioneer. And again, the EV is good. It's in the green. Anything above 80%, I would put in the green. Anything above 85%, I think is really, really interesting to invest in sealed product wise, because I think that the booster box price should start to reflect the actual box EV a little bit more, and all boxes should be higher than 85%. Or lower than 85%. When the thing is that the box price, you're never going to be able to crack boxes and make more than their EV at the TCG market price. So there are a few exceptions. We'll look at those in a second here when we get down to them, which is kind of crazy for Standard at the moment, but I think it's just the double dipping of Standard and Pioneer, creating these scenarios where you can actually crack booster boxes, and if you're good at selling singles, you can actually make a profit. All right, let's go on to Dragon's Maze. This is just the dud of a set. It's the least valuable box comparatively to the box price. eBay has them for 80, distributor price is 90, which this is just recently increased. I could usually get these for about 80 bucks for quite some time, but they've increased it to 90, and the box EV only gives you a whopping $27 from the box EV. There's not a lot from Dragon's Maze, like Voice Resurgence has seen a reprint. That's been the problem with Dragon's Maze, is not only does it have the lack of cards, but Wizard of the Coast just has been asphyxiated with this. They've just been so hyper-focused with Dragon's Maze. It ends up being this, oh, we need to find a cheap mythic to throw in this commander deck. Oh, let's take this card from Dragon's Maze. And then it causes a scenario that Dragon's Maze cards can never go up in value. If you have to actually take a look at Dragon's Maze here, most of these cards have seen a reprint, and you can't really even find a set like this that's so crazy within the dollar price range where these cards have seen reprints. Even cards like Rowzerek has had a reprint, and Master of Cruelties, Voice of Resurgence, Progenitor Mimic, all of these cards have seen a reprint. Recently, Notion Thief, there's just nothing. Savageborn Hydra, dumbed down to a rare in Iconic Masters. This poor set, same thing with Blood Baron Vizkopa, this poor set was just targeted and targeted and targeted for cheap reprints to throw in sets because Wizards didn't want to hurt their equity. Which is funny though, because this set could have accrued some value if Wizards just would have left it alone. There actually is some popular cards in this particular box set that I think would have slowly gone up because of how popular they are with casuals and commanders. However, Wizards just could not leave it alone. So I, of course, would not invest in Dragon's Maze. I think it's going to stay stagnant for a long time. We have Theros. Theros got interesting here because the box EV, this is the set that I definitely want to compare and contrast with. Theros had booster boxes for about $80, $85 from distributors, eBays for a long time until recently with the Thoughtseize spike in value. And this box EV actually did precede the prices of eBay and distributor prices. So Return of Ravnica and Gatecrash definitely could follow the way of Theros, where the box EV goes up and then the sealed prices of them go up. Theros has about a box EV average of 95, which is a 68% spread, which is reasonable. It's actually pretty good in the scope of these older sets. Born of the God, not so much. Box prices have actually gone up on both eBay and distributor price, but you're actually not going to really get anything from Born of the Gods. Born of the Gods also has the problem that Dragon's Maze has, that a lot of the more casual cards were reprinted in various box sets like Commander sets, and it has not allowed these cards to go up in value, which they reasonably should have been able to do so. Journey of the Nyx is one of these box prices where the EV actually went up to where it made sense with box prices. So this is another one we could still get for around $75 to $80 from various distributors and eBay. And the box EV price shot up, and then now the box price is shot up to match that price shooting up. So this is another interesting one where at one point this was in the green. However, right now it has been lagging behind, and there isn't a lot of cards from Journey of Nyx that have shown a lot of movement lately. So I would avoid Journey of Nyx as a potential investment at this point. Now we have a bunch of stinkers in the form of Core 2015, Khans of Tarkir, and Fate Reforged. I have not a clue what's going on with Core 2015. The cheapest eBay price right now is $210. The distributor price about $180. This was a few weeks ago as low as $140, $135, and the box EV is only $78. So it could have been that a few cards from Core 2015 is Mutavault. No, that's 2014, right? I can't remember the cards from Core 2015. Let's take a look at Core 2015 and see exactly what it has in it to make the cards go up. Looks like, okay, Sliver Hive Lord, maybe from the printing of the Sliver Secret Layers, possibly? Chain Veil from War of the Spark and other, cards that are Planeswalkers. But other than that, Rabble Master, maybe that's the big Pioneer card, Court of Calling, Rabble Master, Urborg to Yawgmoth, possibly. There's a lot of goodies in this set, but the box EV is definitely lagging behind, mainly because it just doesn't have, it starts to really drop off the mythics and the rares about after Sliver or Court of Calling. Johnny Steadfast is where Waste Not is where it really starts to drop off, and then there is a lot of bulk, a lot of what we call true bulk in this set that really hampers the overall average box price or pack price of this box when you have a lot of things like Goblin Kaboomus and Cruel Sadist that you can open. So that is, let's look at Core 2015 here from Dongler. It does see okay growth. Started February 74, end of February 76, but that's pretty dismal in the scope of things. All right, back to our sheets here. Khans of Tarkir. This is about as stagnant comes, mainly due to the fact that the supply of this is just, I want to say highest ever. I've heard people say that Battle for Zendikar has a little bit higher supply than Khans of Tarkir, but Khans of Tarkir is definitely number 2 if it's not number 1. So it goes Battle for Zendikar, Khans of Tarkir, probably RTR Dominaria at that point for the ones that have the most actual physical supply of booster boxes printed. So Khans of Tarkir had the fetch lands. People invested in it because of the fetch lands, because fetch lands were supposed to be these great investments going forward. I predicted that they would get a reprint before they ever really cracked the point where Khans of Tarkir booster boxes were worth it, and that's pretty much it here. The box EV is still pretty dismal at 70. It puts it at 39% spread, and it's just, 170, 180 on eBay is actually quite stagnant. These haven't moved for quite some time. Fate Reforged, however, has had a huge increase on the eBay and distributor price at 150 respectively, but the box EV is also lagging behind at 66 bucks, and the spread is 44. There are a few cards from Fate Reforged that people thought were going to be better breakout cards in the format, but it's really just Ugin that is holding Fate Reforged together, and it's another set that I would avoid at the moment. The time has passed for investing in Fate Reforged. Dragon's Tarkir, however, is more interesting. The box EV price is 63. We have cards like the Collected Company that continue to go up in value due to the Dragon's Tarkir, and you can get a few other cards. Let's take a look at Dragon's Tarkir because this is an interesting set in the Pioneer format. Dragon's Tarkir, yeah, it just really is Coco and Kolaghan's Command, and then you do see a big drop-off from there for at least Pioneer playables. It could get interesting if some of these rares do start to go up in value, like a Targus Command sees more play, which it should be. This is a card that I do definitely think is lagging behind because there are a lot of Atarka red decks that are still very, very potent in the format, and you never know when cards like Secure the Waste will start to see play again in the Pioneer format. And other than that, though, yeah, it really, really starts to go down in the quality of rares from there. We have cards like Dragon Tempest that have had multiple reprints as uncommons. So, yeah, that's pretty bad for the Dragon's Tarkir overall. If we look at the Dragon's Tarkir from 62, pretty flat. Started February 61, did spike up a little bit to 65, went back down to 62. So that one's pretty flat in the scope of things. If we go on now to Origins, Origins is interesting, 58% spread. eBay and distributor price have gone up from Origins. A little bit of a caveat here is I can get them in the form of blisters. So there are 120 packs of blisters for, I believe, $180. Don't quote me on that right now. I need to check again with my distributor to see the availability of those blisters. So blisters are a pain in the butt, though. You have to crack them. They come in just... These are the ones that hung on like the Walmart hangers. So that is a potential investment. Regular Origins, not so much. Needs like Jace to go up even more. Right now, it doesn't see a lot of movement for cards out of Origins. Battle for Zendikar, same thing. This was really Expeditions that were holding the hype of this. There's just too much supply of Battle for Zendikar from the spread. The box prices have increased substantially. It's kind of funny now that the Battle for Zendikar is the same price of Khans of Tarkir, and there really isn't much out of Battle for Zendikar, even comparatively speaking to Khans of Tarkir. I mean, the $5 difference, I guess, in box EV. Expeditions, though, is the lottery. It's definitely Expedition or bust. Now, here's my favorite one right now, which might sound a little bit confusing comparatively speaking to Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash, is Oath the Gatewatch. We had cards like the Kaladesh that are in this set that have had price increases. We've also had a few other cards that are starting to see more and more play from Oath the Gatewatch, like Thought Not Seer, which I think is a good long-term spec. And this does have Expeditions. So right now, this is the cheapest box next to Our Devastation that does have lottery cards. So I do like Oath the Gatewatch long term. I think that if you want to get in a box that is going to accrue value faster than any box right now, even RTR, Gatecrash, or some of these down here, I would say Oath the Gatewatch. This is my pick for buy. The distributor price is actually lagging behind the eBay price at the average price of $115. So I think getting it at $105 at the distributor level is very, very smart. I think that by the end of the summer, these are going to be $140, $150 a box. So this is my pick. That's why I got this little arrow here for Oath the Gatewatch as the best deal right now for Pioneer. Again, not everything's created equal when you compare the box price to the box EV. Again, Return Ravnica, Gatecrash, the supply is probably pretty similar to Oath of the Gatewatch. However, the lottery cards, I think, just pushes this over the top and makes this more reasonable than both RTR and Gatecrash. All right, Shadows of Innistrad continues to be kind of a dud. Has increased in the overall box EV recently, but that has also led to increase from the distributor price and the eBay price. So that one is kind of awful. I think it's going to stay stagnant here. for Shadows of Innistrad. Is it the second lowest box EV? Yes, it is, next to Gatecrash. It is double the price of Gatecrash, but that's not really saying much from Gatecrash. So keep your eye on Shadows of Innistrad. There could be some breakout cards. But I think the Ice is starting to see less play in the Pioneer format. There are a few others that started off pretty good, like Mono Black Zombies had a few cards from Shadows of Innistrad, and then it just realized and panned out. Eldritch Moon, however, has increased a ton in box price, but it's really lagging behind box EV. The box EV is about 92. The box price of both of these are on distributor level on eBay is very, very high, and it's mainly due to the lack of supply. This is really where Magic started to take a hit. And the problem was Eldritch Moon also came out with the same time as a master set, can't remember which one, and it was just kind of out of sight, out of mind. Kaladesh had masterpieces that everybody wanted. Oath of Gatewash and Battle for Zendikar still had expeditions that everyone wanted. Shadow of Innistrad was opened quite a lot, and Eldritch Moon just had a shelf life that was very, very low due to just a lot of products coming out at the same time as Eldritch Moon. So that allows for the box price, at least sealed, to go up to 180, but I think it's pretty much done at this point. It's going to stay stagnant there for a long time until the box EV can actually go up in price. Kaladesh is another interesting one. The box value of Kaladesh has started to go up in value. There are cards even like Scrappy Scrounger that have started to recover, which is crazy, and the fast lands from Kaladesh, but the box EV price is one of the worst ones in the entire format at only 41% comparatively to distributor price and the eBay price. Unfortunately, I can't get Aether Revolt at the moment. It's got about a $100 box of value compared to the eBay price of $160. I don't have a value here because the spread is based upon the distributor price. We get into some other interesting ones, which is Amonkhet, which has had a huge increase within the past month. These were not too long ago. They're $95, $100 a booster box. They've gone up to $120. That really has to do with the reflection of Amonkhet actually having many cards that are seeing play in Pioneer, cards like Glorybringer. Box value is about 72. That's increased quite substantially in the past month, and that's a 60% spread. I wouldn't, if I were to look at the two of Amonkhet versus Hour Devastation, I definitely look at Hour Devastation. I actually like the cards that are contained in Hour Devastation better. Cards like Scarab God have a more potential of going up in value. Scarab God is starting to see more play in like Sultai Delirium. And other decks like Esper control-based decks as the finisher seems strong enough for the Pioneer format. And I think that this one is going to have a better time going up due to the supply, too. I think the supply of Amonkhet is much higher than Hour of Devastation. This was kind of a stinker moment in Magic the Gathering where there was a huge lull all the way from Amonkhet to Rivals of Ixalan. Speaking of Ixalan sets, Ixalan is still a bargain, in my opinion. You can still get it at 84. I think that we're closing in on the last few months that's going to be where you can get Ixalan at basically the normal price, the normal distributor price. eBay hasn't really budged at $85 a booster box. The EV is pretty low at 64. However, there are some pretty decent cards in Ixalan, like the flip enchantments that turn into lands. I think those are Search for Azcanta type cards. I think those are going to be good ones going forward. The potential of those are very, very high. And same with the Rivals of Ixalan. Rivals of Ixalan has gone up in price on eBay, and it also has gone up in the overall price, which is actually quite surprising in that it's 74. Comparatively, you'd think that Rivals of Ixalan was not on the same power level as some of these, but it really has to do with supply. Again, this was a stinky time period for Magic the Gathering. Dominaria came out, and in my opinion, is probably the third most supply set out there. It supposedly was the most pre-release attended set of all time, which led to them printing booster boxes like crazy. There was a run on Dominaria sealed booster boxes where it went overnight, still in print from the regular $84 booster box price to $120. It shot up all the way to $150, $165, and now it's gone back down to earth. We're actually still seeing Dominaria fall in booster box price. Supply of the set is very, very high. That's what's really keeping it back from the box EV. This was a set that had a lot of high impact cards in it. However, it's just supply. I would not invest in Dominaria at this point in time. Core 2019 is an interesting one if you can get in on sales. I've seen them from time to time for about $70 a booster box. The box value of Core 2019 has started to trickle up. It's $54 a box. There's really just Nicol Bolas in the set. This is the only card that's really, really interesting. Did start to see a lot of play in Pioneer, but has now not been competitive with the Inverter of Truth and the more combo based format that we're going into. I could see like a Grixis deck fighting, like a Grixis Delirium deck, really fighting with a Sultai Delirium. I think that the power level of them is there, and that makes Nicol Bolas very interesting for Core 2019. We could see that go back up to a $50 Mythic if it does see 4 of copies like it was a couple weeks back in the Pioneer format. So Core 2018 is an interesting one. I'd be a bargain hunter for that. I wouldn't buy it at the booster box price at 84. Now we get into the standard booster boxes, which are definitely all very interesting. You can see they're all in the green, and if one of them in the blue and one of them in the bright green, which means it's 100% or higher. Guilds of Ravnica Legions are all going to be very interesting because they missed critical reprints in the form of challenger decks not having shocklands or having the most of their value from these particular sets. So Wizards of the Coast took the criticisms to heart, and they kind of skipped over Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Legions, the War of the Spark, in favor of printing a lot of cards from Throne of Eldraine for the Challenger deck. So I'm thinking that these are going to swap positions. I'm thinking that after Challenger decks, Throne of Eldraine is no longer going to be worth it to open up booster boxes, and Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Legions will be. So, interesting enough, both of these have gone up on eBay recently for about $95 shipped for a booster box, and the distributor price is still about $84 for these boxes, which makes them very reasonable comparatively to the spread. I'm expecting Guilds of Ravnica to age better than Ravnica Legions because it does have like Assassin's Trophies and a few other more interesting cards. Yes, Ravnica Legion has this Hydroid Krasis. They both have shocklands that are quite relevant. Breeding Pool, though, coming from Ravnica Legions, which is the most expensive one at the moment, makes Ravnica Legions a little more interesting than also the reprint of Steam Vents from Guilds of Ravnica. The other interesting one is War of the Spark. This is another one that had one of the highest pre-release attendance of all time. The supply of this is very, very high. I would put War of the Spark maybe 4th or 5th for overall supply in the market. But it still has a strong box EV, mainly due to Teferi. And Teferi also did miss a key reprint. So did Nissa from the Challenger deck. So I'm thinking that War of the Spark is actually going to be able to age well. But again, the supply of this one is quite high, so I'd caution people for War of the Spark. It's actually out of my standard sets right now, out of Core 2020, Guilds Ravnica, all the ones that are legal right now in standard. This is the one that is selling the slowest to my patrons. People are buying Guilds Ravnica Legions, Core 2020, Throne, and Theros much higher than they're buying War of the Spark. Leads us to Core 2020. This is an interesting one because at one point, not a few weeks ago, we went up to about $100 of TCG market price for the box EV. This led to this set being cracked like crazy, and now Core 2020 has gone back down to earth. If we actually come over here to standard and go to Core 2020, you can see that it will reflect this. Maybe it won't reflect this. You'll see a little bit in total value going from the 330 to down to 315. If we look at Dawn Glare, I think it will give a better price. Yeah, so it was all the way. February was $100 a booster box. It's gone down to 87. This is exactly what happens when a box EV does increase above the box price. Core 2020 was then bought like crazy. A couple of distributors had them on sale for a reasonable period amount of time. I could get these for $78 a booster box. This led to people cracking these like crazy, selling the singles, and then the value of these going back down to earth. This is mainly due to Core 2020 was a huge stinker. One of the lowest attended pre-releases of all time, and just didn't have a lot of supply of this out there. And now it does, though, for people cracking this, and we've seen this reflected. It's gone back down to exactly pretty much mirrored box EV versus how much I can get it for. $84 a booster box, EV for $84, how much I can get it for. Throne of Eldraine is an interesting one. I like it. Right now I've got it at 78 because there's a special for War of the Spark, Throne of Eldraine, and Theros Beyond Death for $78 a booster box. And that makes the Throne of Eldraine actually positive in the box EV. We've had cards like Embercleave and the Great Henge continue to go up, Brazen Borrower. Those two, though, however, do have Challenger deck reprints. Lovestruck Beast has a Challenger deck reprint. Bone Crusher Giant has a Challenger deck reprint. So I'm thinking Throne of Eldraine is just going to get crushed for the box EV. So that I would avoid Throne of Eldraine. The $78 booster box price is awesome, though. So you can definitely get in on this. I have plenty of them available. PM me on Discord or on Patreon. However, this is one that I think I would just avoid comparatively to these other sets. It's going to stick around for standard for a while. I'm expecting there are going to be other reprints in maybe like a Ikoria Commander decks that will have reprints. We don't know if those are going to be standard legal or not. MTG Arena gave a weird this commander format. It's not quite Brawl. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with the Ikoria. Someone that has more information definitely in the comment section below can chime in. But I'm expecting more Throne of Eldraine to get printed in those. And that leads us to Theros Beyond Death. Theros Beyond Death has actually started to increase in the box EV. It's around 72, which leads it a 92% spread. And the booster boxes can still be had this week for 78. I'm liking Theros Beyond Death with 2 mythics shooting up. It doesn't have Challenger deck reprints, mainly, like a few. Now, I mean, nothing really significant in them. And I think that this set is going to be it's going to age well. It's going to be one of these like Rivals of Ixalan. I actually think better than Rivals of Ixalan or Ixalan, with cards like Euro and Kraxos and Gila's Intervention and Elspeth Conquers Death. A lot of goodies in Commander Casual. I actually do think that it's a good buy at $78 a booster box. So anyway, let's conclude this video. I know it's been quite long for a Rogue market video. My pick would be definitely Oath the Gatewatch. This would be the box that I'd buy like crazy. Then like Return to Ravnica, I think is still pretty good. Gatecrash, Return to Ravnica. And then the Origins blisters, if you're willing to crack them and piece them out. But then that wouldn't be like a sealed product at that point. Those would be the interesting one. Dragonstar Cure would also be sort of interesting. And then also Ixalan. But that I'd rank it is the buys right now. It'd be Oath of Gatewatch, then into these greens and Return to Ravnica, Gatecrash. But then I'd still stick to these standard sets right now. I think they're going to be aging very well for Pioneer. Shocks are the new fetches. And Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiances being the sets that contain them, as well as Gatecrash and Return to Ravnica, I think are very, very smart buys for Pioneer for the long period. Yes, Shocklands are going to be on the constant radar for being reprinted, maybe Ikoria Commander decks, those type of stuff. However, I think that the demand for Pioneer is going to be able to outstretch those reprints that they're going to get in the future. So it's very, very good news that they missed critical reprints in Challenger decks with the exception of Steam Vents, and all of those I think are good buys. So Oath of Gatewatch, RTR, Gatecrash, Guilds Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiances, I think are the best buy for the Pioneer booster boxes. Hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely come check out our Patreon. You get access to our Discord where we talk a lot of MTG Finance on multiple channels, and you get the inside scoop. Sometimes we hear things that can also give you an edge in the MTG Finance world. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.